A lot of people in Britain today think that the licence fee which funds the BBC is unfair or unnecessary. I disagree. I think that the licence fee is entirely justifiable, given that it funds one of Britain's most essential institutions, the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. In this video I'll be making a case in support of the licence fee and the BBC. The licence fee accounts for around 75% of the BBC's income. Currently the licence fee for a colour television is £145.50 per year. For a black and white television it is £49. This is approximately $212 and $71 respectively. This works out to around £2.80 per week for a colour television, and around 94p for a black and white television. In US dollars this is around $4.08 and $1.37 respectively, per week. The main argument against the licence fee here in the UK is as follows. Why should I have to pay for something that I don't use or like? Well, we have to pay for a lot of things we might not use or like. Things such as the Government Art Collection, Arts Council England, the Imperial War Museum, English Heritage, Tate Britain, Tate Modern, the English Sports Council, the London Organising Committee for the Olympic Games, and many more museums and places of interest all over the country. All of these are at least partially funded by taxes. The question is the BBC valuable enough to justify a compulsory licence fee? That is the point I'm going to be arguing in this video. When I tell non-British people, particularly Americans, about the licence fee here in the UK, they are usually sceptical. Many of them change their mind after they hear about the BBC and all it does. Let's look at the list of services that the BBC provides. It provides 8 national television channels: BBC One, BBC Two, BBC Three, BBC Four, CBBC, CBeebies, BBC News, and BBC Parliament. It also provides BBC Interactive TV, BBC HD. It provides 10 national radio stations: Radio 1, Radio 1 Extra, Radio 2, Radio 3, Radio 4, Radio 5 Live, 5 Live Sports Extra, 6 Music, Radio 7, and the BBC Asian Network. Radio 1 also puts on the Big Weekend, which is the largest free festival in Europe. The BBC also provides over 40 local radio stations. It also provides Scottish, Welsh and Northern Irish national TV and radio stations. The BBC also provides BBC Bitesize, which is an online study support resource for school children in the UK. The BBC also funds BBC Writers' Room, which is a resource for TV writers. The licence fee also pays for BBC Online, BBC iPlayer, BBC Mobile and the BBC's channel on YouTube. And all of this is advert free. The only adverts you'll see on BBC services are for other BBC services. And don't say that you aren't susceptible to advertisements. We all are. And as a media student, I am in all likelihood only slightly less susceptible to them. We are all affected by adverts and the BBC has none of them. The BBC is also less biased than non-public broadcasting corporations. Because it is paid for by the public, it must act in the public's interest, and not favour any one ideology or viewpoint over another. Generally, it is objective and relatively unbiased. Not only that, the funding that the BBC receives allows it to take chances. It can take a chance on a show that many think might not do very well, usually because they think it only appeals to a minority, that it's too different, and will not appeal to enough people. And although in some cases they might be right, this ability to take chances on shows has allowed them to discover many hidden gems. The BBC's well-known mission statement is as follows: to enrich people's lives with programmes and services that inform, educate and entertain. The BBC has done that time and time again, with shows like Blue Planet and Planet Earth, Wonders of the Solar System, The Andrew Marr Show, Question Time, The Culture Show, Modern Masters, Doctor Who, QI, The Office, Monty Python's Flying Circus and The Day Today. These are all brilliant BBC shows, many of which have won awards, and many are sold overseas to supplement the funding from the licence fee. It should also be noted that the UK isn't the only country with a licence fee. Most of Europe has a licence fee as well. So as you can see, the BBC has a lot to offer. Now, I'm not saying that the BBC is perfect. It isn't. News programming is decreasing, and the licence fee is increasing. And despite the fact that the BBC is less biased than a lot of non-public broadcasting corporations, it isn't completely unbiased. Simply because it is a publicly funded corporation, it is likely to have some left-wing bias. But in my opinion, the pros of the BBC far outweigh the cons, and definitely justify the licence fee. To me, the BBC is a fantastic British institution that we would be much worse off without, and definitely worth the licence fee. And even if you don't like the BBC, should the appropriate response really be let's get rid of it? Or should it be let's improve it? But hey, that's just me. If you disagree with me and want to make a response to this, please do. But please, don't be an arsehole. I'm just presenting an argument. Thanks for watching.